get vaccinated or else. The list of things you can't do without one of those CDC vaccination cards just got a lot longer. Good evening, I'm Leland Vittert. As the last month of summer begins, as kids head back to school, it's slowly becoming clear the government will continue to take away our ability to do the things we normally like to do in the hope of getting higher vaccination rates. Today, United Airlines announced they would fire employees who did not get the shot, which begs the question, is it inevitable that United or the FAA will require passengers also show proof before they get on a flight? The White House announced that all visitors, including journalists, must be vaccinated before entering 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. We are just days away from a vaccine passport system in New York that would keep roughly half of blacks and Latinos from going to a restaurant, gym, or movie theater because they are unvaccinated. But a new poll shows the arm twisting might be making things more miserable for the rest of us without helping the situation. Here it is. Among the unvaccinated, roughly 100 million Americans, 53% say getting the vaccine is a bigger risk to them and their health than getting COVID. Those who say they will definitely not get the vaccine, 75% of them say the vaccine is a bigger risk. Michael Lungango is the community engagement specialist for NYC Hospital System COVID-19 Task Force. He supports the vaccine passport and joins us now. We appreciate you getting off the beach. Apologize for the shot in your car, but we're glad we got to talk with you. All right, so we're going to require passports for bars, restaurants, movie theaters. If that does not work, what's next? Will passports be required on the subway, for example?
I mean, I'm a test and trace community engagement specialist. We actually generally work to sort of track people who have become infected or have become exposed. We do talk a lot about the vaccines. We also get trained as vaccine ambassadors, as part of the work that we do. What I think is that, many people are very upset about this notion of passport, this notion that they'll be required to document. We often have to show documents when we go to different places. We get carded when we go to bars to begin with. I'm young enough.
Come on, Michael. You can't possibly compare showing my ID that says how old I am to getting a shot that the government and the FDA is not fully approved is safe is somehow comparable things.
Well, I think that what you do see about some vaccine hesitancy has to do with this things not being fully approved, the sort of the speed at which the vaccines were put through, but there were special conditions. You had a global effort to create the vaccines and to do different stages of the vaccines simultaneously, which reduced the amount of time. So I understand that part about vaccine hesitancy.
I'm wondering specifically about vaccine hesitancy because you're doing the work to try to convince people rather than arm twist them, I guess is what you're trying to say. Mm-hmm. But there's certainly been people who have been helpful to you and to your cause and those who have not. Two celebrities I'm thinking about, we're going to play them back to back. First would be Cam Newton of the New England Patriots, and then the second would be Marjorie Taylor Greene, United States Congresswoman. Take a listen to both.
Sure.
I'm just curious, have you gotten the vaccine at this point, or are you in the process of it at all?
Have you got the vaccine?
Personally, I have, yes. I'm curious about you.
I think it's too personal for each and every person to kind of discuss it. And I'll just keep it at that.
And one more thing on that, you lucky people here in Alabama might get a knock on your door because I hear Alabama might be one of the most unvaccinated states in the nation. Well, Joe Biden wants to come talk.
I can't imagine either of those are very helpful in the process.
Well, I think that the privacy issue is something that does make sense that people bring up. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene is, it's almost as if she's from another planet. I would almost say, as somebody, I go to homes where people have died. I don't think anybody in New York, my own uncle has died of COVID. just days before he would have been able to get the vaccine. He was in California. I don't think any New Yorker does not know someone who has died of COVID. Yes, it hit the middle of the country and the southern states later. So many people didn't have as much of an experience meeting people who died of COVID. When we were kids, I think I'm 53. I just turned 53 recently. I remember getting vaccinated for polio. There are people who can remember when polio was a scourge. But we don't think of that now because it's required that we get these vaccines. So again, I understand when somebody's experimental.
Although you might, I think we can all agree that the polio vaccine, the science is a little more settled on that now, 60 years later than it is on COVID. Michael, we appreciate the time. Get back with the family. Thanks for chatting with us.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, Leland. Thanks.
All right. Americans on the right call vaccine passports unequivocally un-American. The thought of being told to carry around a card to prove something just doesn't work for them. But if it's a card to prove you're a fan of the former president, apparently it's a great idea and one that you should pay for the right to do. The former president's PAC, Save America, is pushing these official Trump cards for patriots across America. We have video of the card, but for some reason it's not playing. In order to get one, you have to donate, but it's unclear exactly how much you have to fork over or when the cards would be sent out. I'm going to just check now. We don't have video of the cards? No. Okay. We're going to get back to the cards when we have the cards. In the meantime, we want to go to Tyler Hollinger, who's the owner of Festival Cafe. It's his workers who are going to have to enforce the vaccine passports. Tyler joins us now. Thanks for being with us. Have you figured out, you're only a week away from this, have you figured out exactly how you are going to enforce the vaccine mandate?
Leland, thanks so much for having me on the show. Let's be clear here. What is happening in New York City is a gross overreach of government and the city coming in, forcing small businesses to do the policing on what the government should actually be doing themselves. It's a real burden on small businesses. It's a financial expense that, frankly, at this moment, we can't afford to take in. And as of this moment, I haven't heard Mr. de Blasio offer any sort of compensation for this enforcing that we're going to be doing. All of the employees at Festival are vaccinated. Vaccines are great, and everyone should get them. Quite frankly, they are a miracle drug. I am not looking forward to limiting people coming to Festival because as a cafe on the Upper East Side, Festival has always been open to everyone and always will.
So have you figured out exactly how the mayor is going to enforce you all enforcing this?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. This is just a playback from 6 months ago. This is a playback from when we were in December and we had to do COVID-19 contact tracing and temperature checks when people have come in the door. So what happened back in the winter was that the governor deputized individuals who were not of law enforcement to shake down businesses looking to see the temperature logs, looking to see the records kept of the people who entered the establishment. And if you didn't provide it, they threatened $14,000 fines and taking away your liquor license. These unmarked, unmasked, unidentified individuals, frankly, operated with mafia-style tactics.
So how does this go from here for you? Have you guys figured out exactly what you're going to do? Are you going to have somebody at the front because we checking this or something? Because I went back to Joe Donlan's show, and somehow the vaccine passport app from the city of New York gave everybody a vaccine passport to Mickey Mouse.
I mean, honestly, we're talking about a city that can't even count the votes of the upcoming mayor. How in the world is the city going to manage a wide sweeping passport application for almost 9 million people? It's almost laughable in just the thought of it because New York City has not been the best with any sort of technology. As a small business, we really can't afford to bring on extra labor, put extra people on the payroll for the sole purpose of making sure you're vaccinated or you're not vaccinated. I've always taken this approach that it should be an honor system. You scan at the door, you're on the honor system. Why would you want to put that business at risk of losing that business in your neighborhood if you are an unvaccinated individual?
We had Jason Nichols on. It's one thing about customers, right, in terms of can I go in, can I get the food I want, on and on. It's another thing about the workers. And Jason Nichols, a professor from the University of Maryland, was on. He pointed out that a majority of minorities in New York, by that we mean African Americans and Latinos, are unvaccinated. Therefore, come this ban, they're not going to be able to work in your establishment or any other restaurant. Have you figured out how you're going to deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, essentially what de Blasio is creating is a situation ripe for conflict. Am I going to stand at the door and deny access to any Latino and African American who can't prove vaccination?
Yeah,
any family with a child.
I'm specifically interested, though, in your employees, because that's a little bit different relationship. That's not standing at the door. I'm wondering if you're going to be able, if there's enough vaccinated population who wants to work in hospitality, or if all of a sudden, come August 16th, there's going to be a bunch of restaurants who don't have enough workers that have the vaccine.
Leland, all the restaurants already don't have enough workers because the government's paying everyone too much to sit at home. I'm thankful that I have an A-plus team at Festival, from the mixologists to the chefs to the waiters to the back house to the front of house. All of our staff is 100% completely vaccinated, and they are pros and professionals.
All right, Tyler, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Excellent conversation.
Thanks very much for having me on the show. Right. Happy hour starts at 5.
Well, it's 7:15 here, 8:15 there, so you guys are a few in. Looking forward to happy hour in New York with you, sir.
See you soon.
All right. There is little reason to think 20 years of war, American blood, and trillions in taxpayer dollars is not going to go to waste in the coming months. Even the New York Times now says the Taliban is likely to take over Afghanistan in the coming months, bringing back to power the very same people who harbored Osama bin Laden and allowed him to plan the 9/11 attacks. Here's the headline from the New York Times. As Taliban advance, Biden officials cling to hope for Afghan peace. Darrell Issa is a longtime member of Congress and spent years in the Foreign Affairs Committee setting policy for the war on terror, and joins us now. Congressman, nice to see you as always. The New York Times continues. As Taliban fighters make startling swift advances across Afghanistan, Biden administration officials continue to pin their hopes on a peace deal that would halt the country's relentless violence with a power-sharing agreement. Why pin hopes on a deal with terrorists?
Well, you said it very well, but going back and looking at a piece of history, half a century ago, Richard Nixon made a peace agreement with the North Vietnamese and their backers. As soon as we left, they saw the opportunity, they broke the agreement, and the rest was helicopters taking people off the top of our embassy. The same is going to repeat itself for the same reason. The men and women of the military have won every battle. They've won the war. They've created an opportunity for peace. And politicians now are throwing away that peace in favor of their own personal belief that leaving is somehow better than stabilizing this country so that it can maintain its independence.
You know, this is not only President Biden's policy, this is President Trump's policy. The framework for this and the withdrawal timeline was set during his administration. Will he bear some of the responsibility for the Taliban taking over and embassies at the helicopters at the embassy?
I think every politician that helped us go into Afghanistan, anything more than what it took to take Osama bin Laden's people out, and then began with the process of nation building. That includes George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and now President Biden. Each and every one of them is part of a legacy of the military doing its job, earning us the space it would take, and then not having a plan for peace. George W. Bush said, and I'll never forget, that he said, we don't do nation building. Well, the truth is we don't do it well, and we haven't figured it out. We haven't figured it out in Afghanistan. We haven't figured it out in Iraq. And we'd better get to figuring it out, because as these countries topple, especially those that fall under a sphere of influence of China and Iran, we have more countries that are hostile to us, many of them on the borders of our best allies.
Oh. As scary as that is, it's true. Part of the argument for leaving Afghanistan is allow the U.S. military to pivot more to China, towards Russia, towards Iran, the same enemies you just mentioned. To that end, we have some interesting video out of Michigan, not far from a little city called Traverse City. And what you're looking at is A-10 Thunderbolts and then special operations aircraft flying not off of runways, but off of small rural highways, two-lane highways in the middle of Michigan, simulating what they would do if, for example, U.S. air bases were bombed and they had to operate there or operate in Europe under similar situations. Does this mean that we're ready to take on China and Russia, or still a ways there?
No, we're not ready to use those techniques in an environment like Russia or China, where that A-10 would not survive, over their anti-aircraft. We saw that in Syria. What we are is we're able to take on the kind of peacekeeping missions where we have the backing of the UN and we have world support, and those aircraft are critical to it. And when we first went into Afghanistan, there was no question at all. We had to operate under poor runways or no runways, somewhat the same in Iraq at first. But I will say one thing, that the men and women of the military are prepared for a number of battles. The one that they're most prepared for are these kinds of 5,000 or 6,000 or 7,000 troops in Afghanistan, 1,000 or 1,500 special forces in Djibouti. In the case of the Northern Alliance, supporting in northeast Afghanistan, and the same in northeast Syria, supporting freedom fighters that are willing to fight for their country effectively. So we have a lot of special forces that are capable. Those are included in the people that are being pulled out by this administration. You know, when you meet with the Northern Alliance, the Afghans who in fact have been our allies for more than 20 years, what you discover is they are being sold out by this, and they are going to be in the same situation as those who, quite frankly, helped us as interpreters. So we're going to see a mass exodus of refugees from Afghanistan, very similar to Vietnam, very soon.
Well, and the refugees, the ones who get out, will be the lucky ones. Congressman Issa, thank you, sir. Always appreciate your time. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Leland. And it is 5 o'clock here.
I enjoy it. Coming up, we still got about 42 minutes together. Coming up, the curriculum controversy. What is really going on in America's classrooms, and how does it reflect the greater cultural battle apparent on that? Plus, he's in the race to replace California Governor Gavin Newsom. We're talking to YouTuber Kevin Pathrath about the latest polls showing him in the lead. Then, fighting back. Governor Cuomo's legal team says the sexual harassment investigation had a predetermined narrative. We're going to look at that issue and this. Jewish groups responding after Nina Turner's anti-Semitic comments. For most of the country, if you don't like your governor, you have to keep your governor. You have to wait till the end of his term, but not in California, where voters can recall the governor. It's happened before and might happen again, although Gavin Newsom says voters exercising their right to recall him is, and we are not kidding about this, unfair. Poor guy. More on that in a minute. Half of the state, though, more than half of the state, wants him out of office. This is a new poll. They believe it or not, the leading candidate to take over is a 29-year-old YouTuber with zero political experience. Kevin Pathrath is here with us now. Kevin, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
How did this happen that you became the #1 candidate?
Well, look, here's the thing. California has had so many problems, and I think Californians are waking up to realize this is not a Republican recall. This is a Californian recall. And the opportunity here is folks in California can now give someone a 1-year shot to correct what's wrong in California. Folks can go to meetkevin.com and view my entire 20-part plan. And I think now Republicans are starting to outpour support for my Democratic campaign as well, because they realize I'm a JFK-style Democrat. Down the middle, let's solve the problems we have. I gotta say, though, a Republican's gonna have trouble doing that because we have a real supermajority that we've never had before. 72 to 75% of our legislature is controlled by Democrats. That means a Republican veto is worthless. We need a strong centrist Democrat to put this state back on track.
Kevin, it looks like you've got some friends with you at dinner there, at least what we can hear in the background. Say hello to them. We appreciate you taking some family time here. You know, Gavin Newsom, one of the things that's been the lightning rod here is this picture. I'm sure you've seen it, of him enjoying dinner at the French Laundry, one of America's most expensive restaurants, while everybody else was under a mask mandate in California. He was not wearing a mask, in case you're wondering. You going to do that when you're governor?
Absolutely not. The most important thing that I pride myself on is transparency. I'm a financial analyst and I provide everything that I can on YouTube transparently. I want to bring that to government because we need that transparency and honesty in government. That is what we don't have in politics today, and it's a disgrace. So I know when people hear YouTuber, they think, oh, what, some prankster or whatever. No, I'm a financial analyst. I provide information like Bloomberg or CNBC would. I help people build wealth, and I want to see California build wealth. My dream is to make California the 4th largest economy in the world because we're currently the 5th, but we're going to be the 6th or the 10th.
Kevin, though, you want to see California's economy grow. The wealthy and the job creators in your state are leaving in droves. That means you're going to have to cut taxes to get them back. That doesn't really sound like something a Democratic supermajority is going to do.
Yes. Here's the thing. My 20-part plan includes first solving the problems that we have. We've got to start with homelessness, solving the fact that we've got people dying on our streets. And then we move on to solving the causes of homelessness, which would be crime, schooling, education, and housing. Once we do that, then we can minimize the people on our social programs. 1/3 of Californians are on Medi-Cal. It's a disgrace. Once we can finally invest in our Californians and minimize their need for state support services, we can lower taxes. My plan calls for eliminating taxes on the first $250,000 of income.
Kevin, I apologize for cutting you off. We had some timing issues a little bit earlier in the show. As a politician, you'll learn about that. When you have a YouTube channel, you can just keep on talking. Interestingly enough, though, you hit 3 or 4 of the top issues that a good buddy of mine in California sent me to talk to you about. We're really looking forward to having you back here as the campaign heats up and as ballots go out and people start actually voting on this recall. Kevin, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Go to meetkevin.com to learn more. Thanks so much for having me.
Enjoy the rest of your dinner.
Thank you.
All right. It's the question either you always ask your kids when they come home for school, or as kids that we were always asked by our parents that annoyed us, which is, what'd you learn today? Americans are waging a cultural battle over what kids are going to learn. And that battle is going on in the form of school boards that are now deciding the lessons that public school teachers in America are going to teach your children. Our next guest compares public schools in America to re-education camps in China, where he says brains are washed and hearts are cleansed. Brains are washed there. People are tortured in China as well. So is it a fair comparison? Bill Choslowski joins us now. He's the author of a new article for Real Clear Politics called America Re-Education Camps. Bill, appreciate you being with us. Is this really a fair comparison?
I mean, in all candor, it's purposefully hyperbole. But the reality is, I was tuned into it. I'm just a parent, call me Homer Simpson, like most folks. 3 kids. My wife and I believe strongly in public schools. And right on our border, we live in Chicago, so we're kind of swimming upstream with these issues. And in Evanston, which is right next door, I read an article, and that's what motivated me to write, about a teacher who filed a federal lawsuit there based on the curriculum of what they're teaching first and second graders in the classroom.
I think we have some of the graphics that you pointed out in your article. Tell us what about these graphics that you found so offensive.
I mean, I would hope a lot of commentary is not necessary here.
So it says whiteness is a bad deal. It always was. Dude, we can see your ponytail. Contract binding you to whiteness, you get, and lists all of these things. Now, were they making kids sign that? Were they using it as a teaching material? What upset you?
I mean, it's a teaching material. This is part of the sanctioned curriculum. This district we're talking about is 7,000 students, 15 schools, 1st through 8th grade. And they're not teaching, well, when I say they're not teaching math, that this curriculum, I would hope, if you switch the labels to any other ethnicity, I would hope we would all be abhorred. We should be. They're also separating teachers during training literally by race. Their fifth grade teachers are supposed to teach or indoctrinate, again, as part of the curriculum, that, quote, colorblindness helps racism. I repeat, colorblindness.
And you're saying this is so this is part of the curriculum that you're trying to change.
When I'm commenting on it in terms of trying to change, what can I'm trying to do.
You could run for school board.
Well, I'm in Chicago. I did run for my local school board because my attitude is you shouldn't complain. You should try to come with a solution. And it strikes me, though, we all like to complain about what goes on in Washington, D.C., in the Oval Office. The reality is, what affects your family's daily life?
More than anything,
more so is
the
school board. Local school board.
Yeah, and that's where we're seeing these debates happen. If we had more time, we'd play a couple of them and get you to comment on them. And that's where the debates are happening, and that's where some of the most fervent campaigning is going on right now in elections around America in these small school boards that used to not really be covered at all. Bill, thank you very much. We'll talk to you as the school year comes to a beginning. Coming up, this affects everybody who has an iPhone. Apple's new surveillance technology has raised privacy concerns. But do those involved in child exploitation initiatives think it is going to help their cause? Plus, one of Governor Cuomo's accusers files a criminal complaint. We're going to look at that and also what Governor Cuomo's lawyers said today. We'll talk about it all on social media at Leland Vittert. We'll see you soon.
And there has been no open-minded fact-finding in this case. The governor deserves to be treated fairly, and he must be. That did not happen here. This was one-sided, and he was ambushed.
That's when one of New York Governor Andrew Cuomo's attorneys, they say they were blindsided by the Attorney General's report this week. And now they're hitting back, saying a number of the accusations of sexual harassment don't stand up to scrutiny. And the investigation, in their words, was shoddy, missing key timelines and facts. The AG's office has responded now by saying there are 11 women whose accounts have been corroborated by a mountain of evidence. Any suggestion that attempts to undermine the credibility of these women or this investigation is, in their words, unfortunate. This all comes as one of the governor's accusers has filed a criminal complaint against him. The woman called Executive Assistant Number 1 in the Attorney General's report filed that complaint, alleging the governor groped her chest. While the complaint is a step towards criminal charges, it does not guarantee that those charges will be filed. So while all of his legal team mounts his defense, Governor Cuomo is, well, lounging by the pool. And there is the picture to prove it, with his assistant sitting on the pool deck. This is the front page of the New York Post today. Maybe not a great look for someone who is facing the most serious accusations of his political career and accusations of sexual harassment. But this kind of behavior seems to be a trend among some governors in the midst of a scandal. We'll take you back to 2017. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie shut down the beaches of New Jersey to everyone because of a budget standoff. And instead of staying inside during the ordeal, Governor Christie decided to go enjoy the beach, a state beach near the governor's mansion that was closed to everybody but him. So we'll say this, for all of you governors watching tonight, whether it is a scandal of potentially criminal behavior, like Governor Cuomo, or simply closing the beaches during a holiday weekend, there are drones these days. Stay inside the governor's mansion. Although this morning, Cuomo woke up in the mansion to this headline for the New York Times: how Cuomo and his team retaliated against his accusers. Indeed, according to the New York Times, the report found that Mr. Cuomo's inner circle helped enable the governor's behavior, fostering a toxic workplace and a culture of retaliation where workers feared retribution for making minor mistakes, seeming disloyal, or, God forbid, upsetting Mr. Cuomo. That's where we start our deep dive tonight with attorney Brian Weinthal, who specializes in employment law and defending claims just like those leveled at the governor. Brian, good to see you. We appreciate it, counselor. All right, what's worse, the crime or the cover-up?
Difficult to say in this instance. When I read the Attorney General's report, I was horrified by the conduct that Governor Cuomo engaged in.
Well, hold on, and we have to rightly say, alleged to have engaged in. This was not proven in a court of law, right?
You are correct. It is alleged conduct at the moment. But what I was stunned by in reading the New York Times article today was the extent of the retaliation here. In most sexual harassment cases, the retaliation that goes on is specific to job. I complained about sexual harassment and I got fired, or I got demoted. Something at work happened to me. Here, it appeared that the governor and his staff were actually trying to ruin this person's life, to actually ruin her credibility so that she was no longer a productive member of society. That was quite troubling. So I think it's difficult to figure out which is worse, the crime or the cover-up of it here.
The AG's report that you talk about, do we have any idea what the standard of proof here is? Because if you listen to Governor Cuomo's attorneys, they weren't allowed to participate at all. They weren't allowed to deliver exculpatory evidence. They weren't allowed to question witnesses.
What I find so incredible is, as I watched the press conference today among Governor Cuomo's attorneys, was the idea that their complaint was that Cuomo's office hadn't been given a copy of the report in advance. When asked at the press conference, how would the accusers be protected if the report came in advance? The response was, well, Governor Cuomo won't retaliate. The problem, of course, though, is the report accuses him of creating a culture of retaliation. Go ahead, please.
I guess the question, though, is, let's just assume for the moment everything in this report is true. And we want to caution, we are assuming that for the sake of argument. Does the retaliation put Governor Cuomo and or other state officials at risk of different criminal charges than the alleged harassment and possible sexual assault?
He's at risk of both civil and criminal charges.
For the retaliation?
For the retaliation. So as we heard today, the first accuser has filed criminal charges. The Albany Sheriff's Office is processing those charges as we speak, and apparently is holding a press conference tomorrow. In this instance, there's almost no question that the state of New York and the governor's office is going to be subject to massive civil liability. Of course, under Title VII, the federal statute, or the New York Human Rights Act, there are going to be lawsuits for the conduct alleged here. So he's probably going to answer for both that on the civil side and also criminal charges as they come from here. There's certainly no guarantee that this is the last we've seen of a criminal charge from an accuser.
And very different than the impeachment trial that may or may not be happening, but that we understand is beginning in Albany. Again, I go back to, what's the standard of proof in this AG report's investigation? Because they say, we've concluded all these things are happening, but last time I checked, the accused have a right to confront their accusers, and that didn't happen here.
Well, the idea here is that in an investigative report, there really is no standard per se because they're not necessarily concluding action to flow from there. I was actually surprised because the Attorney General's office has not handed down charges of any kind. They've said that their work is finished based on the investigation itself.
So does that mean that they perhaps think that they don't have enough to charge, but enough to smear?
Not necessarily.
But possible.
It could be. I'm not sure. I don't know what they're thinking. But the idea here certainly is, if we get to the civil side of this, the standard is going to be if we go to the criminal side of this, of course, the standard we all know will be proof beyond a reasonable doubt. On the civil side, it just simply has to be more likely than not that the governor perpetrated this conduct for purposes of liability attaching.
All right, last question as we go through this. What happens next from a civil standpoint? Does criminal follow civil or civil follow criminal?
Ordinarily, criminal moves faster because there are requirements as to how quickly you have to move on criminal charges. On the civil side, in just about all states, before you can actually bring a lawsuit in court against either an entity or an individual, you need to first go to that state agency's, the discrimination agency of the state to file a charge. They will investigate it and either find evidence to proceed or allow you then to go to court. So criminal will move much faster than civil in this instance.
All right, Brian, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good to see you. All right. CNN offered, we understand, and he accepted. Anchor Chris Cuomo, we're told, is taking a week off from his primetime show as his older brother, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, deals, as we've been talking about, with the sexual harassment investigation. Cuomo made the announcement, the younger Cuomo, on his podcast, but he didn't say if he'll be advising his embattled brother, as he did in May when the allegations surfaced. In fact, he said he plans to fish and make memories with his kids. Cuomo's show is the most watched on the liberal network, and he has yet to cover the New York Attorney General report into his brother's actions. Stay tuned, perhaps, as they say. We are learning more tonight about the massive change in Apple's privacy policy that opens up every photo on your phone and iCloud account to digital examination. It's an about-face for the company that famously told the FBI 5 years ago it wouldn't hand over encryption keys to unlock the phone of a terrorist that killed 15 Americans. There's a lot to unpack here. It's being sold as a way to stop child predators and pornographers. Certainly a noble cause and one for obvious reasons you cannot opt out of. And who better to help us understand than Francie Hakes, former federal prosecutor and national coordinator for child exploitation prevention and interdiction. Counselor, we appreciate you joining us. Not often we get two lawyers in the same block. Thank you. Briefly explain to us why all of us should not be terrified that Apple is going to look at all of our pictures.
Well, Leland, thanks for having me and talking about this really important issue. The main reason we shouldn't all be scared is because the vast majority of us are not trafficking in the images of child sexual abuse. Apple is going to be taking a set of digital fingerprints of known child pornography images from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and using an algorithm that is just math to compare those to the photos on Apple devices. And if there is a match to these photos of concern that NCMEC is providing, then a human at Apple will look at these photos, evaluate them, and decide whether or not a report should be sent to the National Center, who are the experts in dealing with this kind of identification of child pornography images, and they'll decide whether they should go to law enforcement.
It all sounds well and good, but we had a mathematician on yesterday. She teaches at Harvard and Washington University, teaches data science, writes these algorithms. Here's what she had to say.
You know, first it started off with monitoring what we say publicly or what we put up publicly. And now it's changing to monitoring what is our most personal and most private information that we are not making public in any capacity. And, you know,
what I'm hearing from you is what she's sort of alluding to, which is just trust the algorithm.
Well, exactly. The point is that the most important point is that law enforcement, people like me, when I was at the Department of Justice, have been pushing internet service providers, phone providers, data providers to do this kind of thing for decades. Child pornography is at absolutely epidemic levels. And what that means is child sexual abuse is at absolutely epidemic levels. And you've had child advocates and victims for many years complaining that there was nothing anyone was doing to search for these images, to take these images down, and to see that those children are no longer being victimized. And importantly, child pornography drives more child sexual abuse. So any tool that we can take in our toolbox to prohibit that and prevent that from occurring is a good thing.
Well, any tool at the cost of privacy to all of us. The courts may end up making the decision between the two. Appreciate it, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Leland.
Coming up next, there's some real backlash after Nina Turner's anti-Semitic comments. She was running for Congress. Why what she said is bringing up some very old wounds when we come back. Words matter in politics, and politicians have been blaming their country's Jewish population for their nation's problems. It's something that's been going on for as long as time has existed. We haven't seen it here in America for a very long time, and that's a good thing. But listen to the progressive left these days, and you will hear anti-Semitic dog whistles galore, and they are said without shame. Here is Bernie Sanders endorsee and failed congressional candidate Nina Turner explaining her loss earlier this week.
I am going to work hard to ensure that something like this never happens to a progressive candidate or leader. See, we didn't lose this race. Evil money manipulated and aligned with this election.
In case you couldn't hear it, the words there were evil money. Joining us now to discuss her comments and the backlash she is facing, Rabbi Abraham Cooper of the Simon Wiesenthal Center. Rabbi, appreciate you being here with us. Let's start at the beginning. Why is what she said so offensive?
Well, the anti-Semitic dog whistles you refer to go back probably to the 19th century, but especially during the Nazi era in the 1930s, of the unseen hands of evil money of the capitalists, Jewish bankers, real and imagined, and the opportunity of isolating a particular group or minority and blaming them for the nation's ills. Now, the Wiesenthal Center doesn't endorse Republicans or Democrats. That's not our job. But I think it is important that for people who are progressives and believe in the progressive ideals, starting with Bernie Sanders, who is Jewish, by the way, and all the other prominent people, they're the first ones who should be condemning this type of language. They haven't done so, not with Rashida Tlaib, who uses intersectionality to blame Israel and the Jews for every conceivable ill on the planet, not with Omar, not with Cori Bush. And that's one of the reasons I've called on the Speaker of the House to strip these people of their committees in the House.
That hasn't happened. And you talked about Ilhan Omar, who tweeted that it was all about the Benjamins. And then there was, in a time right now where everything that is said, hatred must be called out by name. President Trump learned that the hard way. But every time something must be called out by name, yet when Ilhan Omar did it, the best we could get out of the Democratic House was a resolution condemning hatred of all kinds. Why do you think it is that the progressive left is so controlling of the moderates that they are unwilling to call this out for what it is?
I think they're trying to both cater to an extreme base, and more than that, to try to move, if you will, the center of the nation towards a very far left agenda, which has among its enemies, self-declared, the State of Israel. Look, in 2018, when Arthur Jones, an avowed lifelong Nazi, ran as the Republican candidate in Chicago for Congress, we arranged and worked with both Democrats and Republicans. I ran a press conference in Chicago where the head of the Republican Party said, vote for the Democrat. This should not be a left-right issue. It should not be Democratic or Republican.
Well, no, it
but
should
there
not, sir.
is a failure from the top.
Historically, I only got about 20 seconds left. Historically, the Jewish lobby has been Democratic, substantially so. Are you seeing that change because of this?
I think there is a generational shift, but I think the majority of American Jews still identify, if you will, with the ideals of the Democratic Party as articulated going back over 50, 75, or 100 years. It's a slow process, but the more silence we hear and the more hate crimes we suffer, the less support this party is going to gain from rank-and-file voters in the Democratic Party.
Rabbi, it's an incredibly important topic. We're glad to have had you here, and the work of the Simon Wiesenthal Center is second to none. That's Rabbi Abraham Cooper. We appreciate you being here with us tonight and you being here with us at home. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday night.